The papyrus, putting on my table every month. I don't wanna be sad. Don't even try to hide it. No, I don't wanna lose it. And you see how it is, it's so inviting. The papyrus, we're all so alive. The papyrus.
Welcome to the news on Papyrus TV Africa. The headlines. Senate begins screening of Tinubu's nominees for Rivers State commissions. Senate in disarray over contradictory midterm bill statistics. House committee opens probe into 1.12 trillion naira anchor borrowers fund orders. Senate committee on Southwest Development vows infrastructure transformation. Akpabio hails 10th Senate's productivity as critics raise rubber stamp allegations. Senator Ken Eze defends 10th Senate record, says no Senate has done more in 2 years. Imo Senator shines as legislative reformer and constituency champion. Deputy Senate President Barao sponsors most bills, targets policy reforms. Senate raises constitutional concern over RCEC nominees' state of origin. The Senate has commenced the screening of 17 nominees sent by President Bola Tinubu to head key commissions in Rivers State following confirmation that all appointees had fulfilled constitutional requirements for asset declaration and passed security checks by the Department of State Services and the Nigerian Police. Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele, who chairs the ad hoc committee, conducted the screening, disclosed this during the committee's session on Tuesday, June 17th. He explained that the nominees underwent full security vetting and no petitions were received against any of them. According to him, these clearances were necessary before the Senate could proceed with its assessment. Bamidele emphasized that each nominee had also declared their assets before the Code of Conduct Bureau, a mandatory constitutional step. The nominees were presented by the Special Advisor to the President on Senate Matters, Bashir Lado, and were divided into 3 categories: those for the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, the Civil Service Commission, and the Local Government Service Commission. While the identities of all 17 nominees were confirmed during the session, Bamidele stated that the screening process would be based on evaluating the qualifications and CVs of the candidates since there were no outstanding legal or ethical impediments. He also announced that the Senate would review the screening committee's recommendations and take final confirmation decision during plenary. The screening of additional nominees for the Rivers State Primary Health Care Management Board is scheduled for Wednesday. Bamidele reiterated the Senate's commitment to upholding democratic processes in Rivers State and ensuring that all nominations comply with due process and the rule of law. Conflicting figures released by Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele have cast doubt on the legislative performance of Nigeria's 10th Senate, raising concerns over transparency and record-keeping in the National Assembly. At the joint session marking Democracy Day 2025, Akpabio claimed that 96 out of 844 bills were passed in 2 years. However, in a detailed statement days later, Bamidele said the Senate passed 108 out of 983 bills between June 2023 and June 2025. The discrepancy in numbers has stirred confusion and prompted scrutiny of the Senate's internal coordination. The lack of consistent data from both top officials, despite their legal backgrounds, has raised eyebrows and reinforced long-standing concerns about the Senate's commitment to clarity, accuracy, and accountability in reporting its work. The House of Representatives has launched an in-depth investigation into the management and disbursement of over 1.3 trillion naira in agricultural intervention funds under the Central Bank of Nigeria's Anchor Borrower Program. The Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending (NESAL) and the Bank of Industry (BOI). At an investigative hearing on Tuesday, 17th June, Honorable Chike Okafor, chairman of the House Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, expressed deep concerns about the opacity surrounding disbursement by the 24 participating financial institutions (PFIs) under the Anchor Borrower Scheme. According to Okafor, only 9 of these institutions have provided verifiable information to lawmakers, despite the vast scale of funding and the committee's outreach efforts. The probe enters 3 key disbursements: 1.12 trillion reportedly loaned to 4.67 million farmers under the Anchor Borrowers Program, 215 billion naira disbursed by NESL for agricultural businesses, and 3 billion disbursed by BOI to 22,120 smallholder farmers through the Agricultural Value Chain Financing Program. Our mandate is clear, Okafor stated. We are investigating how these intervention programs were implemented, how public funds were allocated, and whether the intended impact on food security and nutrition has been achieved. In response, Charles Bassey of Nestle Microfinance Bank cited widespread insecurity, banditry, and natural disasters such as flooding and drought as key challenges that hindered loan repayment and project success. He noted that in several cases, beneficiaries had sought restructuring due to the inability to access their farms. The Senate Committee on the Southwest Development Commission (SWDC) has pledged to transform the region through a bold agenda rooted in infrastructure, economic revitalization, and integrated development. At the inaugural meeting of the committee, Chairman Senator Yusuf Akintunde, APC Oyo Central, said the commission would move beyond bureaucratic intentions to deliver real results. Referencing the developmental agenda for West Nigeria, DON, Akintunde described it as a strategic framework that would guide stakeholder engagements across Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti states. He insisted that the Southwest must build on its legacy as Nigeria's commercial nerve center. All the senators echoed his sentiments, citing infrastructure and human capital as foundational pillars of development. In a joint session with the House of Representatives to mark Democracy Day, Senate President Godswill Akpabio delivered a glowing report on the 10th Assembly, highlighting the introduction of 844 bills, passage of 96, and presidential accent for 52, including key legislation on education funding, local government autonomy, and tax reforms. We have passed more bills, received more petitions, and acted faster on executive proposals than any previous Senate, Akpabio declared. However, civil society groups and opposition voices are pushing back. Critics allege the Senate has been overly compliant with the executive, citing expedited confirmations and inadequate scrutiny of controversial policies. Political analyst Dr. Amina Yusuf warned the Senate has become too comfortable with the presidency. Their failure to challenge unpopular decisions erodes democratic checks and balances. While legislative leaders tout efficiency and cooperation, many Nigerians remain concerned about perceived compromise on independence, especially during national crises such as the removal of fuel subsidies and the security breakdown in Rivers State. As part of events marking 2 years of legislative activity, Senator Ken Eze of Ebonyi Central has declared the 10th Senate the most productive in Nigeria's history, arguing that it has passed more bills and tackled more critical issues than any of the previous Senate in the same time frame. Speaking at a media briefing in Abakaliki, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Information highlighted the intellectual rigor required to pass laws. He dismissed claims that legislative work was all about political pageantry. This is not a jamboree. Our members are researching, reading, and writing every day to ensure the bills we pass are in the public's interest, he asserted. He also credited Senate President Godswill Akpabio for a leadership style that fosters unity and productivity. Among the standout figures in the 10th Senate is Senator Osita Izunaso from Imo West, whose dual focus on national policy and grassroots development has earned widespread acclaim. A journalist and lawyer, Izunaso chairs the Senate Committee on Capital Markets and led the sponsorship of the landmark Investment in Security Bill 2024. He has also sponsored bills on disability rights, agricultural reform, and creative industry, while advocating constitutional amendments. His push for the creation of an state has reignited debates on state restructuring. Izunaso's motion against sit-at-home protests in the southeast and another on the central bank's foreign exchange policies signal a senator attuned to both security and economic stability.